Well, what's up, everybody? So, I'm excited to be back. For those who may not know, this is not my first time gracing CAU stage, as I've held various leadership positions. I was SGA president last year, and so it's just great to be back on stage. However, truth be told, I'm saying it's great to be back, but I never left. Some of y'all already know the T, but many of you don't. So basically, currently I'm enrolled in an advanced standing accelerated Master's 1+1 program in the Whitney Young School of Social Work. So this means, amen, praise God, and it's here at Clark Atlanta University, so this means I'll be graduating with my Master's in 1 year, this upcoming spring of 2020. That two-time alum loading. So I'm still here at CAU, so I truthfully never left. And the reason I say this is because when I see somebody who was here during my undergraduate matriculation, I'm often asked the question, oh, Warren, you still here? Oh, how's post-grad life treating you? You know, AKA, how much money you making? Oh, how's your book going? How's your book going? AKA, is it worth it? How much money you making off that book? And you know, when somebody asks how you're doing, but you really don't tell them how you're doing, and you just say, well, I'm just trusting in the Lord, all is well, God is good all the time, God is good. But on the flip side, you're going through it. On the flip side, you're battling. On the flip side, your hope is on life support and your faith is on life alert. And you feel as though you're falling and need somebody to pick you up. Because that was me. When I would see some of y'all around, and y'all would ask me how I was doing, I'd be masking the waterfall of tears that flowed like streams down my face. And every single day I was going through it, y'all. And I noticed in this social media generation, in this age of implementation of instant information where we have the ability to timeline our lifeline, something that I noticed about us is that we broadcast and post and show our finished production of things. The finished production, the scenes in our life that go well, where we can play the part, play the role of everything going well. We finally got the internship, we finally got the new person, we finally traveling overseas or whatever. Everything that's going on in our life well, we ready to post that. But we don't necessarily show what takes place behind the scenes. So this is my behind the scenes that I'm about to show front screen. I'm gonna be real, it was hard. Throughout this whole week, I'm like, God, do I really gotta show him? He said, I told you to show him. I said, God, do I really gotta talk about it? He said, I told you to talk about it. So I'm like, all right, bro. Because truth be told, when I graduated, it got real for me. And I promise you, it couldn't get any more real than the realest of real, so how real it was for me, boy. Because when I graduated, every single job that knocked the mess out of me. They didn't care that I was SGA president. They didn't care that I spoke on the same stage with Barack Obama. They didn't care that I spoke on BET, MTV, Wild Out. They didn't care about none of that. Every single job that knocked the mess out of me as we hit the first one. This is just a few. Thank you for the interest in the admissions recruiter position. We have carefully reviewed your background and skills, and at this time, we have identified another candidate whose credentials more closely meet the requirements of the position. Next. Thank you so much for your interest in your interviewing to be a kindergarten professional. While you were not selected at this time, I wanted to personally let you know that you did an excellent job. That's the worst thing here, you get denied, but you did a great job. All right. Warren, thanks again for applying. I'm sorry for my slow response. You want to think about me. We recently offered a position to someone else currently volunteering in our ministry. So I was put in a vulnerable position where since I couldn't find a way, I had to go out and buy a university model and go out and make one. And after being jobless, after having no money with bills due on my name, I realized that sometimes God will allow things to happen to see if we're going to lay in misery or try to get up and walk in victory. I realized that sometimes God doesn't drop blessings in our lap, but He'll hold them in our reach to see if we are bold enough to go get them. And I had to go get it, so what I did was I emailed and I reached out to every church, every organization I could just to have speaking engagements and to have opportunities to sell my book, because I needed it desperately. Not only because I wanted to grow my gift, but I needed money, y'all. And many said no in a harsh way. Some said, who is you? Some said, sorry, bro, I'm the locals. And many said no, but just a few said yes, which leads me to this picture. So this is me, y'all. Some of y'all saw this post from over the summer. This is me as I'm preparing to travel to one of my speaking engagements for the summer, right? And I will be preaching at a church the next morning. And just a disclaimer, I'm at a Greyhound bus station. Yes, the one right there by Magic City. I'm at a Greyhound bus station. And I had to take the Greyhound bus to travel hours through the night to where I'll be preaching the next morning. And in this moment, I immediately thought to myself, I said, God, I'm thinking about the promise. The promise, what promise? The promise that I believe that God put on my heart. The promise that I made to myself. The promise that I go to bed dreaming about every night. The promise that I wake up thinking about every morning. The promise that I think about from sunup to sundown. The promise that I would one day catch flights and travel the world to preach God's message. The promise that I would one day grace the stage before the presence of thousands and speak to God's people. The promise that I would one day sell millions of my books. But my reality is I'm at a Greyhound bus station. A Greyhound bus station. Not catching a flight, but at a Greyhound bus station. Where I'm stepping over bodies that use sidewalks as mattresses. I'm at a Greyhound bus station, y'all. Where I can't even walk a corridor without being asked if I can express some change. I'm literally at a Greyhound bus station that most would deem unpleasant. About to travel to a church to speak to only a handful of people and sell only a handful of books. And in that moment I said, God, how can you play me, bro? How you go play me, God? And many of us have been in this position like, God, how you go play me?
That's real.
This ain't what I prayed for. This ain't what I asked for. This ain't what I journaled. This ain't what I affirmed in that sticky note and hung up on my wall. Some of y'all like, oh my God, me and God have a great relationship. I've never got upset with God. Like, no, be real. You don't bless me pretending, but he blessed me truly are. I was talking to God like he was crazy. I said, God, you got me messed up. You told me I was supposed to be catching flights, but I'm here at a Greyhound bus station. You told me I was supposed to preach to millions, but I'm out here preaching to a few. You told me I was supposed to reach millions in my book, but I can't even get people to look at my book. And I said, God, what about the promise? I thought I was supposed to fulfill the promise. He said, you are. God checked me in that moment. He said, you are. You're just in the process of doing this promise. The Lord said, I hear you. Matter of fact, I'm the one who put the promise in your heart. He said, in order to get to the promise, we got to go through the process. Which leads me to the title of my message, y'all. As I came to tell those who are seated in this space on this day, as I came to tell those who are even tuning in live, who may need a word of power in this very hour, that your process is connected to your promise. Your process is connected to your promise, the title of my message. And see, I had to capture this moment to bring it to this moment because I had to show y'all better than I can tell y'all, because truth be told, y'all, we live in a generation where everybody feels entitled to their promise, but we want to be excluded from the process. Come on. That's the reality of it. It's causing so many people to try to fit God down our Instagram timeline, and when he doesn't meet our deadline, we exclude him out of our lifeline. Which causes us to use God as a resource rather than be connected with him as virtues. And it's amazing how the homecoming theme is for the culture, because it's getting so bad because we don't understand how our process is connected to our promise. People don't know who they're doing it for anymore. What I mean by that is it's getting so bad that people don't even want it for themselves anymore. We want it for the perception that people have of ourselves. And it's getting so bad that because we don't understand how our process connects to our promise, you got so many people compromising their sacred calling because we are in social competition. And we're comparing. We're comparing. You got so many people who are stuck in comparison. Oh, I'm going to do a social media fast. I'm going to do a social media fast. And my question is, it's great to do a social media fast, but what is your purpose for it? Are you fasting for it because you need to fast for it? Or are you fasting for it because you can't stand to see other people succeed in your time with this conference? Because if you truly understood your process is connected to your promise, you'll know that your blessing is coming. You know that your plate is coming. You know that what God has for you is coming. And all I'm trying to say is comparison will kill you. Now they got you thinking, oh, it got to be me and somebody's son this season, me and somebody's son, me and somebody's son. God said, I already gave you somebody's son. The Lord says, I want you to date him, my son, that I gave you. The Lord says he's been in your DMs, in your consciousness, in your heart, trying to DM you, trying to get you to come Bible and chill. But seriously, all I'm trying to say is comparison will kill you. Comparison will have you, I'm not coming from it, you know, shout out to Megan Stallion, but it'll have you thinking, oh, I gotta be in my bag and in his too. Hey. When God is saying, first off, sweetheart, his bag cannot sustain you. So you may want to focus on the bag that I have for you. Hawkins. And all I'm trying to say is comparison will kill you. Comparison will have you like a dog chasing your own tail. And I promise you, you will starve to death. Focusing on what somebody else said because you're not even paying attention to what God put on your plate. And all I'm trying to say is our process is connected to our promise. And if we understood that, we'll know that God has promised for our lives. And I don't have all the answers. I don't. I'm still trying to figure out the answers to my daggone self, as y'all can see. But what I do know is this, that every part of this message I had to bask in it for myself. The Lord put me in a position to share tears in it for myself. And that's why today, I'm not just preaching to y'all, I'm preaching to us. And that's why today I came to tell that very person who knows that there's something great deep down inside of them. That dream that you've been dreaming, the thoughts that you've been thinking, That feeling that you've been feeling is not by chance, it's not by coincidence, it's not by accident. You have promise on your life. Tonight I came to tell that very person who sees their promise like it's a star. And yet when you look at it, it seems so close, but because my Bible says, though a man or woman think it, so it shall be. So whatever God allowed you to see, he meant for you to reap. Yeah. And God will never expose you to something that you can't have. Come on now. Today I came to talk to that freshman student. This is your first time away from home, and your promise stretches beyond your neighborhood. And you've never been this far away from home, or for some reason, you contemplating going back home, but the Lord told me to tell you, I don't know who you are, but he told me to tell you, stop contemplating going back home because he would never bring you this far just to bring you this far. He would never take you out just to bring you back. He would never promote you just to demote you. No, I can't tell that very person who's in this room right now, who may be going through it, may be struggling. And after all you've been through, the fact that you made it through is indicated proof that God has promised for you. That God has promised for you. God has promised you. I believe that somebody in here right now will be that big time CEO. That somebody in here right now will write that book. That somebody in here right now will have that amazing YouTube channel. You have promise on your life, but you got to go through the what? Process. That's it, y'all. The process. That process. As I will read 1 Samuel 16, verses 1 through 12. 1 Samuel 16, verses 1 through 12. Look at your neighbor and say, you got promise. And you don't have to really pull out your Bibles. I just want you to follow me in your heart. And I'm referencing this because it's really similar to us, because I can't help but reflect how so many of us are similar to that of a modern day King David. Before he was king, he was just little old David. Who was King David? He was somebody who realized that his process was connected to his promise. And I promise you, everything I'm about to say relates to us in so many different ways. Because, just a little background before I dive into the text, King David was one of the kings of Israel, God's covenant and chosen people. But before he was king, there was a man named Saul. And this man, Saul, had did something unpleasing to the Lord's eyes. So the Lord's like, bro, you ain't king no more. I'm anointing a new king. And he gave the responsibility to a prophet named Samuel. Everybody say Samuel, Sam. I like to call him Samuel. He gave a responsibility to a prophet named Samuel, Sam. And he had one job, to go out and anoint a new king, to find a new king of Israel. And that king would be who? David. All right, here's what the verse says. Now the Lord said to Samuel, Sam, bro, you have mourned long enough for Saul. I rejected this dude as king of Israel. So fill your flask with olive oil and go to Bethlehem. Find a man named Jesse who lives there, who's David's dad. For I have selected one of his sons to be my king. But Samuel asked, bro, how can I do that? If Saul hears about this, he will most certainly kill me. And he's not Catholic. The Lord says, take a heifer with you. The Lord replied and said, that you have come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you which of his sons to anoint for me, which is David. So Samuel did as the Lord instructed, and he went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town came trembling. Oh my God, bro, what you doing here? Back then they were scared of prophets. And Samuel replied, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Purify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. Then Samuel performed the purification rite for Jesse and his sons, and invited them to the sacrifice too. When they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, surely this is the Lord's anointed one. The Lord said to Samuel, bro, don't judge by outward appearance, for I the Lord look at the heart. I rejected this man. And then Jesse told his son Abinadab to step forward and walk in front of Samuel. But Samuel's like, nah, next. He's not the chosen one either. Next, Jesse summoned Shimei. But Samuel said, neither is this dude the one. In the same way, all of Jesse's 7 sons were presented to Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, Sam said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen any of these dudes, man. Are these all the sons you have? And then Jesse replied, well, they're still the youngest. I mean, he's just out in the field, taking care of the sheep. And he said, Samuel said, send for him at once. Send for David at once. I can just imagine that David's brothers, after being rejected, they hit that soldier boy like, David? David? No, for real, like he's the youngest, he's the small. David? The one who hides the sheep from the world and the world from the sheep? David? I just imagine him going like David. And so Jesse sent for David, and the Lord said, he was dark, handsome, beautiful eyes. But the Lord said, this is the one, anoint him. The Lord says, this is the one, anoint him. And what made this so amazing is that David, a shepherd boy, was just anointed king of Israel. And after being anointed king of Israel, what this meant was that he would no longer, he was a shepherd boy, which means shepherds had one job to tend the sheep. After being anointed king, this meant that he would no longer shepherd sheep, he would shepherd a nation. This meant that he would no longer attend to a pasture, but he would ascend to a palace. And what made David so much different than his brothers, y'all gotta listen to this, what made him so much more different than his brothers was that David was willing to attend to the pasture before he ascended to his palace. Yeah. What made David so much different than his brothers was that he was willing to go through the process before he went through the promise. Yeah. But David's brothers felt entitled. Oh, I'm older, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. And God rejected them. And I came to say that God comes to anoint not those who feel entitled to the promise, but those who are willing to endure the process. And what happened was they were rejected, and the Lord says, I don't look at outward appearance. Y'all got it all wrong. And some of us think that we can make it by to our promise off outward appearance. Oh, I got 40K Instagram followers. I got a good resume. I got entrepreneur in my bio, beauty and cosmetic in my bio, motivational speaker in my bio, public figure in my bio. And those things may be true. You may have those things in your bio, but God is trying to say it's not about what you have in your bio, it's what you have in your heart. It's not about what you have in your bio, it's what you have in your heart. And God comes to anoint those and to promote those, not who want to be excluded from the process, but those who are willing to endure. And peep this. When Sam asked Jesse, are these all the sons you got? I mean, and Jesse was like, you got the youngest one, he out in the fields in the sheep. He completely dismissed David. He didn't call him by name, the youngest one, he out in the fields with the sheep, you know. And just in the same way how some of our family members, I'm going to get real, and some of our friends try to dismiss the vision that God gave us. And I came to tell you that people will not see your process, people will not see your promise through your process. Because let me tell you something, they saw a shepherd boy attending to sheep, but God saw a shepherd boy who could shepherd a nation. They saw a boy attending to a pasture, but God saw a man who was ascended to a palace. And they dismissed him, just the way how our friends were like, oh, she just Forexing, you know. Oh, he always got the camera, always trying to shoot the little videos. He always, you know, he's just talking about the little business plan. But I came to tell you, some of you are looking for your friends in your dorm, your homegirls, your Instagram friends, your Instagram followers. Some of y'all looking for approval. Some of y'all looking to be stamped when God had already approved y'all. You're looking to be stamped to run for that position, but God already approved you. You're looking to be stamped to start that business, but God already approved you. You're looking to be stamped to do what you got to do. Go apply to grad school, apply to law school. You're looking to be stamped by other people, but God already approved you because people will not see your promise through your process. If I was to present a fetus to y'all right now, y'all would be like, dang, that was ugly. A fetus. Because it's underdeveloped. And a lot of you all are presenting a lot of people see your promise as an underdeveloped fetus, and you gotta protect it. You can't share what God put in your heart with everybody. And you can't, because some people shoot it down because they don't see your promise. They see a pasture, but God sees a palace. They see you shepherding sheep, but God sees you shepherding a nation. So you can't share your book idea, your website idea, their brand idea with everybody because they'll shoot it down. Oh, he just out there with the sheep. He just out there, you know, their little business plan. And also this, we got to be like David. We got to be willing to attend to the pasture before we attend to the palace. In order for God to promote you, okay, how could I ever preach to millions of people? I'm going to try to get it. If I never preach to a few. How could I ever reach millions of people with my book if I never reached those around me? How could I ever catch flights if I never knew what it felt like to catch a bus? That's me attending to my pasture because I know the promise is coming. I can see the millions, I can see the promise, I can see the thousands, I can see the #1 best-selling book in the world. I can see it. But how can I ever appreciate it if I get to it if I don't go through the process? And all I'm trying to say is God gave you a pasture that has the potential to become a palace, but are you attending to it? Think about that. That vision that you put on your heart, you ain't got to dream small. You ain't got to try to be like, I don't know, man, if God want me to do it, I'll do it. Like, no, God told you to do it. I don't know, man, if God, you know, I'm just out here feeling and just, you know, moving around, you know, just out here, you know, I'm a creative, bro. Like, no, God put that vision in your heart because like I said, whatever he allowed you to see, he meant for you to read. So what is your pasture? If your pasture is maybe one day that you want to have your own hair business, if you gotta attend to your pasture by having homework in one hand and weave in the other hand, by all means, attend to your pasture. You gotta do hair in the dorm room, attend to your pasture. If your pasture is you launching that business with only 3 people, only 2 guaranteed customers, if your pasture is you having that YouTube channel, you know who I'm looking at? If your pasture is you having that YouTube channel and you only got 2 views, then attend to your pasture. That's all I'm trying to say. Attend to your pasture because it has the potential to become a palace. And next I want to mention this. I don't know how much time I have. Tyler Perry, for example. Yeah, y'all see where I know I'm going. He had a pasture. This dude started off, oh my gosh, This dude was homeless. This dude was homeless. So you can't tell me that Tyler Perry had no pastor. When he first started writing his plays and finding his people, to be a part of his vision, he had a pastor. He was homeless. He ain't had no money to pay his people. He had no money to pay his actors and actresses. Poetry. He didn't have none of that. I was like, way too much. Yeah. All right. But all I'm trying to say is that he had a pastor, and not even knowing what tomorrow would bring, not even knowing what would be expected tomorrow, he kept attending to his pastor. Now he has a palace. He now owns the first black studio lot ever. Come on now. You can't tell me that attending to your pastor won't take you to your palace. And he knew that it was bigger than him, because he now uses that same palace to bring people up who look like us from pasture to palace. So he realized it was bigger than him. And I came to tell you that you got to know it's bigger than you. Because if you quit, so many other people lose. Yeah. Because sometimes our process is not connected to our promise, but sometimes our process is connected to the promise of other people. Yeah. I'm going to say it again. Sometimes our process is not just connected to our promise, but sometimes our process is connected to the promise of other people. So it's bigger than you, dog. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than you. That person in your family is depending on you. Your nieces and nephews are depending on you. You know who I'm looking at. The trajectory of your future generations are depending on you. The legacy of your last name is depending on you, because if you give up in the race, if you don't finish the race, people behind you won't even know how to start. Let that sit, yeah. People, I gotta let that sit. God dang. But in reality, like I said, God is giving you a passion. You gotta tell yourself that it won't happen overnight. It will not happen overnight. Look at your neighbor and say it's not gonna happen overnight. Because when I think about David, his promise did not happen overnight. The old school churches, for my churchy folks in here, they call it being anointed and not appointed. Because what happened in 1 Samuel 16, verse 13, literally the next verse after David was anointed. So as David stood there among his brothers, Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil. So Sam had anointed David. Everybody say, Sam. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. So Sam had anointed David in that moment. And then the last part of the verse finished off this. After he anointed him, he returned to Ramah. Sam returned to Ramah. Not David. Sam. Yeah. So he anointed David in that moment. Put the oil on his head. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's what the Bible says. That's what happened. And he anointed him in that moment, but a crown didn't come out the sky and fall on his head. A throne didn't come out of nowhere and swoop him off his feet. He had to go back to a sheep. Sam returned to Ramah. Who? Sam returned to Ramah. So when I think about it, his promise didn't happen overnight. So what makes us think that our promise can happen overnight? And I promise you, one of the hardest things to feel, anybody who has a dream, anybody who has a vision, anybody who has a goal, anybody who knows that God put something on their heart, one of the hardest things to be is anointed but not freaking appointed, dog. Yeah. That's one of the hardest things to be, anointed but not appointed. Because that's what happened to David. One of the hardest things to be is to know you got promise but no platform. To know you got potential but no position. To know that you got so much presence but no stage. That's one of the hardest things to be. And I came to tell you that it's going to be times, my seniors, when you graduate like me, you're going to feel anointed with that degree, but you ain't going to be appointed to a job until maybe 10 months later. That's the reality of it. You may be anointed with that business, but it may not blow up until a year later. You may be anointed with that book, but it may not reach people until 2 years later. You may be anointed with that vision, that YouTube channel, but it may not be appointed to blow up to the promise until later down the line. And we got to be like David, because this is what happened to David. David was in a position when nobody saw or knew he was dope. And there's so many people in here right now, you're ready to give up, you're ready to give up on your vision, you're ready to give up on your dream, because you think that people don't see that I'm dope, people don't notice my gift, they don't know that I can sing, so I just want to give up. Like, no, God put you in a position to be planted and not buried. And I'm going to explain real quick, because this is what happened in the next verse. This is what happened in the next verse. And just a little context, after David was anointed, he would soon find himself in Saul's palace. Because it said that the Spirit of the Lord came upon David, but it left your boy Saul. So Saul got depressed. He was going through it, y'all. That boy was whining on a whole other level. I'm like, this dude is a big old baby. You the one did what you did to God. But no, Samuel was in a position in his life where the Lord's Spirit had left him. He knew it. He was being tormented. He felt empty. He was basically depressed. And Samuel told his guards, he said, all right, I need y'all to find me a harp player, somebody who can play the harp, the instrument, the harp, because it'll help calm my spirit down. It'll help calm me down because I'm going through it right now. It turns out the best harp player in the region happened to be who? Guess who? David. So David was brought to Saul's palace. And David was in a position where he ascended to the palace, but he didn't ascend to the throne. He was in that position where nobody knew he was dope, because what would happen is every time he was playing the harp, only person who recognized him was Saul. But this is the catch. This is the catch. Saul did not, listen to this, Saul did not know who David really was. Saul did not know that David would be the next anointed king. David was right in front of Saul's face playing the harp. And Saul did not know that David was about to take his spot. He did not know that Samuel anointed him. Because remember, Samuel ran off and anointed David. He did not know how dope this dude was. He just, oh, he a harp player. You got people around you, or people at your internship, oh, she just the intern. Oh, she just the personal trainer, or she just this, she just that, he just this, he just that. And I came to tell you that God did that for a reason. It's not man's rejection, it's not woman's rejection, it is God's divine protection. And the reason I say this is because sometimes God has to hide you, because he did not bury you, he planted you. And God sometimes has to sprout you at the right time. And I don't know who you are, but God will sprout you right when you need it. And if this don't hit you now, I promise it'll hit you when you graduate. It's going to be some times where you may not be able to get a job you want. And you may feel like he's buried you, but he's planted you to sprout. Because if I was to take a coffin and a seed and bury them, they both have the same burial process. I would dig up some dirt for the seed, put the seed in the ground, put the dirt back on top. If I was to bury a coffin, I would dig up the dirt, put the coffin in the ground. It would be heavy as I don't know what, but I'll put the dirt back on top of it. The difference is one is meant to lay in the ground, the other one is meant to sprout. And I came to tell you that God did not bury you. I don't know who you are. God didn't bury you in last semester. God didn't bury you in that bad relationship. God did not bury you in whatever it is, because the reason you're not dating no boy no more is because God sprouted you out of that bad relationship. Come on now. Come on now. Don't act brand new. When he was putting his hands on you, when he was talking crazy to you, calling you out of your name, every other name but your name, poetry. The Lord put you in a position where he sprouted you. And I had to realize as I continue to bring this message to a close that the Lord had to sprout me at the right time. The Lord had to sprout me at the right time. And I don't want to share this story, but it's hard, but I got to share it. A few weeks ago, I get a call. Random call. Literally, random call. You know when a random call, you about to like not answer, but you just end up answering because you're curious. That's what happened to me. And thank God I ended up answering. I answered, and it's this man. He's from New Birth Missionary Baptist Church leadership team. And if you don't know New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, it's probably, if not one of the largest churches here in Georgia. And it's pastored by public figure Jamal Bryant. And he said, hey man, Warren, what's up, man? You know, we've been keeping up with you on the gram, bro. And we love what you're doing in ministry. We love how you're out here trying to grind for the kingdom. He said, Warren, we want you to come out to our service, our young adult college Sunday service, in front of our congregation of 5,000. And come preach. And also sell your book. So, and I said, you talking about Jamal Bryant, New Birth, right? He said, is there another New Birth? So, you know, I was excited. And I promise you, got the phone, I immediately found the closest mirror to me and started doing my dance. I said, hey, I get to meet JB. I get to meet JB. Like literally, I was so excited. And JB is Jamal Bryant. And a few days right before it happened though, he hit me up with a call. He's like, hey man, I got some news, bro. He said, unfortunately, you won't be able to speak to our congregation anymore. Your plans didn't fall through. And not only that, you won't be able to sell hundreds of books to the congregation of 5,000. He said, what I can do is I can still have you, sit up on the stage with the leadership team and maybe have you meet Jamal Bryant. So I went, and I'm sitting on the stage, and JB right there. I'm like, JB, you right there? We literally like right next to each other, like, JB, I want to meet JB so bad, JB! And he's right there. Jamal Bryant is right there. And make a long story short, I didn't get a chance to meet him. Not only did I not get a chance to speak to the audience of 5,000 that I saw in my room, as the walls became as transparent as glass and I could see thousands, I could see moments like that, but I didn't get to say it. I got to speak to a youth group at the church of 20 people and I only sold like 2 books. And I remember being in my car, I remember walking to my car, I'm like, God! Man! I was disappointed. Yeah. And I said, God, how could you do me like this? I said, God, I feel as though I wasted my time. And he said, no, you didn't. He said, I did this to show you that I didn't bury you, I planted you, and I can sprout you at any moment. Because sometimes God has to give us an appetizer before he brings out the full-course meal to see if we really trust the process. I found myself on the stage as Jamal Bryant in the presence of 5,000 from one phone call. And I came to tell you that when you trust the process, when you trust the promise that God has in your life, you don't have to go looking for the stairway will find you and have your name on it. That you won't have to go looking for a stage, for the stage will come to you, for the opportunity to find you. And I said, God, how could you play me like this? How could you do me like this? I was supposed to, this was the promise. This is my moment to speak to 5,000. This is my moment to sell my books to 100. Oh my God, ching ching. No, I'm just keeping it real. He's like, 5,000? Come on now. 5,000 people, bro. That's a lot of goddamn dang people. And once the Lord said that, I said, Father, what I got to do to get to my promise? He said, okay. He said, before I give you your shot, the Lord says I need you to work on your slingshot. Some of y'all know where I'm going. He said, I need you to work on my slingshot. Look at her. She know where I'm going. The Lord said, I need you to work on your slingshot. I said, Father, what do you mean? And when I think about this text, I saw David. And something you ought to know about David, when he was on his pasture, when he was attending to his sheep, every time a lion or bear would try to come kill his sheep, he would take a slingshot, club it at the lion or bear, and kill him. That was his slingshot. And when I think about it, the same slingshot that David used to kill lions and bears in his process would be the same slingshot he would use to kill the giant Goliath in his promise. Woo! Stand on this one. And your slingshot is your dream, that YouTube channel, that business, whatever it is that God placed in your heart for you to dream big about. He don't want you to dream small, he wants you to dream big. To dream big. That's your slingshot. And I realized that God says if we perfect our slingshot in the process, if we perfect it in the process, we won't miss when the promise comes. And what do I mean by that? If you're not super familiar with the story of David and Goliath, when David was still serving under Saul's court playing the harp, one day a giant, huge man named Goliath of an opposing army, of the Philistine army, came and tried to fight Saul and the Israelite army. And nobody was trying to fight this dude, not King Saul. Ain't nobody want done with that man. Not the Israelite army, because he was just so goddamn big. Nobody wanted to fight him. But David wanted to fight him. And peep this. David wanted to fight him. Let me tell you why. David said, Saul, I got you, big bro. Israelite army, y'all good, I got this. And David knew that he could take out this slingshot, this giant with the slingshot, because he treated his process like it was a shot. Meaning he was ready for their promise. See, David said that I can take out this giant because my process prepared me for this promise. My preparation prepared me for this platform. My shepherding sheep prepared me to shepherd a nation. And tending to this pasture prepared me to ascend to this palace. And he said that he could take out this slingshot, this giant with the slingshot, because he treated his process like it was his shot. And I came to tell you that you got to be ready for your slingshot, because if you prepare in your process with your slingshot, when God finally gives you the opportunity, you can't miss. You can't miss. You got to be ready. You got to get that business plan ready. And see, David said, when nobody else is looking, I was slaying lions and bears in my slingshot. When nobody else is looking, I was getting that business plan ready. While everybody else is sleeping on me, making fun of my sheep, I was getting that idea ready. I was working on my Forex game. I was working on my business plan. I was writing that book when everybody else is sleeping on me. I was working on my slingshot. Yeah. And I came to tell you that when God brings the opportunity for you, he brings you your shot, you can't miss. And I don't know who you are, you got to work on your slingshot. I was working on my slingshot when I was in the room preaching sermons to my walls and reciting spoken word poems to my walls. I was working on my slingshot. Yeah. I was working on my slingshot when I celebrated 5 people buying my book, even though I saw the thousands. I was working on my slingshot. I was working on my slingshot. When I was catching buses, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours through the night, that was me working on my slingshot. And I was perfecting it. I was perfecting it. And this is what happened because I perfected it. You go to the next slide. Remember how I told y'all that I didn't have a job, that I didn't have any money, that I wanted to reach millions, that I wanted to sell my books to millions, that I wanted to catch flights? I came to tell you that the tears that you shed in your process, the tears that you shed in your process will be used as nourishment to water the blessings in your promise. The tears that you shed in your process, will be used as nourishment to water the harvest in your promise, because God counted these tears, baby. He counted these tears, and he stored them, and look what grew. Yeah, go to the first. Perfect. Okay. This is what happened. I said I wanted to speak to millions, right? To reach thousands. This email says, "Hey Warren, hope all is well. Again, I apologize for the changes, but I just wanted you to know that your episode will premiere on November 14th. I'll be featured on a TV show that will reach thousands for my book." Come on, come on. Thank you for your message. I apologize for that. This was big. Everything is set on our end. We have you on our production calendar for a taping on Thursday, October 17th. That's next Thursday. Please plan to arrive the day before on Wednesday, October 16th. That's next Wednesday. I have put you in a reservation request at a hotel, listen to this, where all of the guests stay for the night of October 16th. Please arrange for a return flight. Didn't I say I wanted to catch flights to preach God's word? I finally got that flight, y'all. And this one is huge. Remember I said, I ain't had no job. You boy ain't had no job. What's wrong? They ain't care I was SGA president. It was like, we'll get a lot of SGA presidents. Can you do the job? This email says, "Thank you for speaking with the youth on September 15th. I spoke with Pastor this morning. She would like to meet with you to offer you a position of a youth minister." If I don't share it to brag or boast, Lord knows, I show this as indicated proof, as a bookmark to show you that God is faithful. That God has promise on your life. That you ain't got to dream small, that you ain't got to belittle your dreams, that God put that promise on your heart because He never it to manifest in your life. If you just stay faithful to the process, if you just don't give up in your process, if you remain obedient and steadfast in the process, for Galatians 6:9 says, "Do not give up in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if you do not give up." And the harvest is plentiful, baby. The harvest is plentiful. And there's so much more to come. And I came to tell you that you got promise on your life. When you graduate, remember that you got promise on your life. When you matriculate to your sophomore, junior year, remember that I got promise on my life. When you're going through some tough times, say, I got promise on my life. This is a living testimony, y'all. Your SGA president from last year who was on BET, who was on MTV, who was doing all these things, I had to go through a process. I wasn't excluded from that. And this is my vulnerability that I'm showing y'all. I could have preached promise. I could have preached, blah, 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 you go be blessed, you go be blessed. But now God says, the blessed shall go through things. The blessed shall go through things. For the testing of our faith shall produce perseverance. So consider it great joy, my brothers and sisters. You have promise on your life. Let this be indicated proof that God wants to take you from process to promise, from pasture to palace, from shepherding the sheep to shepherding the nation. God is good, and I will close with this. The reason I'm sharing this book right now, because it's not a book about how to find your purpose, about how to be happy. No, this is a book about real tears. Real, God, I don't like you. God, I don't want to do nothing to do with you right now. This is a book about process and how God will take you from process to promise. And through that process, we find our calling. Because you don't have to call on your calling will call you. You don't have to find your calling will find you. You don't have to search for your calling will search for you in your process that will lead you to your promise. Can you please stand as I pray?